Welcome back to the mystical, magical, and mythological Calibogue Bottom Marsh. My story today is about Rascal T Mudpaw and his adventure with old Chompy and his sons. Now, old Chompy had been an old and solid member of Calibogue Bottom Marsh. Since anybody could remember, he had lost most of his teeth, some of his hearing, and absolutely none of his dignity. Rascal T Mudpaw knew all that. He teased him anyway. Rascal came running down the oyster bank, grinning like he owned the tide. Old Chompy warmed his ancient bones with his mouth stretched open wide. Rascal said, "Chompy, where'd your teeth all go? Did the fiddler crabs run off with three? You couldn't bite a boiled peanut if somebody shelled it free." Old Chompy only chuckled, never lifted up his head. Said a mouth don't need 100 teeth to know when foolishness is said. They did not share their father's humor, and they took Rascal's words as mean. Little Chomp said, "Let's surround him." Middle Chomp said, "Block the trail." Big Chomp grinned, "We'll teach that puppy not to mock an elder's tale." They dug a pit beside the creek bed, covered it with reeds and grass, then placed a pile of old bones where they knew that Rascal would pass. Came strolling through the moonlight, whistling louder than a train. Saw the bones sitting lonely, and he nearly lost his brain. But a marsh hen whispered, "Careful," and a turtle cleared his throat. Rascal looked down and saw 3 gators trying hard not to gloat. So Rascal stepped lightly on the covering, then sprang backward with a shout. The Chompy boys rushed in together, and the whole green bank gave out. No! Little Chomp landed in the cattails. Middle Chomp went in the mud. Big Chomp wore a wreath of duckweed and was sitting in the flood. Rascal stood safely on a cypress knee, laughing till he lost his breath. Then old Chompy rose behind him, quiet as approaching death. Rascal froze stiff, the marsh went silent, even Blue Heron shut his beak. Old Chompy said, "Son, being clever ain't the same as being wise each week." Old Chompy never snapped at him, never chased him through the grass. He only stared until that puppy saw himself reflected in the glass. For a moment, Rascal looked sorry. For a moment, Rascal looked small. Then he helped the Chompy brothers climb back up the muddy wall. T stands just for trouble. He can stir up 7 kinds of trouble before the tide rolls back. He learned respect by moonrise, or at least that's what they say. But he asked old Chompy's children if they'd brushed their teeth that day. Then he flew across the cordgrass with 3 gators at his rear. And when the mud quit flying, that puppy disappeared. Old Chompy laughed for nearly an hour. his children did not.